Welcome to DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next. The inspiring podcast of DVC alum and students here at Idaho Valley College. And now, on with the show.
Okay. And that part might even stay on. So.
Okay.
All right. And we are live here at DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next. And we have our a veteran, actually, one of our older students, we'll just say, who has an interesting past. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, TJ?
All right. I am TJ Scoggins. Like you said, I'm a veteran. I work over at the Student Veteran Resource Center. In between majors right now. I came here studying mechanical engineering, but looking at my past and my future, I'm going to swap gears and probably go into business management.
Wow. Okay. We'll get into that. That sounds like there's a whole process that went into that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's talk about first, where'd you grow up?
Okay. That's an interesting story. So my father was in the Army in the early 80s, and he was stationed in Alaska in Fort Wainwright.
Okay.
Where it's nice and cold. And he met my mom.
So where's Fort Wainwright? Because I lived in the 60s up in Anchorage, which is Elmendorf Air Force Base is right outside of there.
Fort Wainwright's up in Fairbanks.
Oh my gosh. So yes, it is cold.
Yes. Yeah. And so he met my mom in the early 80s, and they had three boys, bam, bam, bam. My older brother, me, and my younger brother. So the middle of three.
Okay.
And then when he concluded his service in the Army, he moved to Southeast Idaho, where he worked as a state police officer. So I mainly grew up in Southeast Idaho in a small town called DuBois, just north of Idaho Falls.
Okay. Is it one of those towns that like they have a stoplight, maybe a traffic light?
We did not. We just had stop signs.
Okay.
Yeah. And we eventually got a blinking yellow light, which we thought was the coolest thing.
Yeah. There was a guy I knew who was from Missouri. Not Missouri. And he said they had a new highway came through, and so everybody went into town because what had happened is the heat had expanded all the chunks, and so part of the highway had gotten up like this about 5 feet. And so they all had to go in and go look at it. That was the big excitement. It sounds like it's that kind of town.
Oh yeah, very quiet, small, not much going on.
Yeah. So was it a good thing to grow up there?
It was amazing. It was very secure. It was very isolated. One thing, we're in the middle of potato country, right? So there's not a lot of diversity. So it was very, very isolated, I guess, is a good way of describing it. The world was out there and we were all in here, which is one of the reasons I joined the military, was to get from in here to out there and see what the world had to offer.
You had to meet more than the 400 people you lived with.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So how many people were in your graduating class for high school?
13-ish.
13-ish?
13-ish. Yeah.
Okay.
So I didn't graduate high school.
Okay.
I dropped out and then joined the military.
Okay.
There would have been about 13.
Okay. So 12 and a half.
Yes.
Okay. We'll go with that. Excuse me.
There's about 100 people from 7th to the 12th grade in the high school.
Wow. That's a small town.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine your football team was not.
We played 8-man football. We didn't have enough people to play 11-man.
Okay.
So
and you played on both sides of the ball, of course.
Man.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
sir.
right. Okay.
And the field gets really big when there's only 8 people per side on it. So you're running a lot.
Well, and you learn, well, yeah. So you bounced off to the military, and your dad was Army, and yet you chose the Navy.
Yes.
Any reason, or just?
Well, so when my parents split, my mom met a gentleman who was prior Navy. He was a nuke as well. He ran nuclear reactors. And I thought it was fascinating what he did, and his level of education, expertise, and professionalism. I wanted to emulate that. Mm-hmm. And so in order to emulate where he was, I needed to follow the same path that he took.
Okay.
And so that was my biggest inspiration.
Oh, cool. Okay. So where did you go do your basic, and then where did you go to nuke school?
Basic training was in Great Lakes, Illinois.
Okay.
It was in May of 2001. And so it was hot and humid, and was unlike Idaho. So it was a culture shock. And then after basic training, we went to Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay.
For the next year and a half for tech school. So the first school was 6 months. I was learning how to become an electronics technician, learning about circuits, instrumentation, and control equipment. And then the next 6 months is called nuclear power school, where you learn about the fundamentals of the type of reactor that they teach us.
Mhm.
And if you graduate that, then you go on to what's called the prototype phase, where you actually go on a submarine and you're actually operating a nuclear reactor on a submarine that has been welded to a pier. It's no longer seaworthy. It's just a training platform that you get to go operate, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
So what was your favorite part about that?
Prototype.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I loved getting my hands on. I loved being in control of the reactor and actually seeing what you've learned about the last year and applying it and realizing, oh, when you do this, that actually happens. So it's a really awesome cause and effect.
Yeah. So what's the craziest story that occurred during that time period that's not classified?
That's not classified.
Well,
I was going to say, you always have people, because it takes a team to run one of those reactors in the propulsion plants.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, at prototype, we're stunted in what we're allowed to do. We don't reach any limitations. We operate very safely, very conservatively, because we're a training platform. So a lot of times you'll get students out in the engine room who make mistakes, leave valves out of position. And when you make a small mistake like that, a small valve out of position can have a huge implication on a reactor and the steam plant. So,
oh, wow.
All kinds of mistakes there.
Okay. But it sounds like it's that they set it up in such a way that you can really mess up and not blow the pier up or thing like that. So
you've always got a staff, somebody qualified over your shoulder, ready to pounce if you make a mistake. But they give you enough leeway to make mistakes and learn from them. So it's very...
Well, and I personally learn really well. It's like the old saying. It's just like all the things I've learned in my life are either, learned really well or either very painful or really expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And so that falls into that category of like, you got to learn to make that mistake so never to do that thing again.
Yeah. Especially when you're make a mistake at the pier, not when you're in a combat zone.
Yeah. So after that, so now you're still an enlisted man, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So after that, where'd you go?
Let's see. That was in 2003. So I was moved to Bremerton, Washington, to serve on the USS Carl Vince in the CVN-7.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Ship.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's got a little history too.
It does. It's a great ship. Right.
Okay. And talk about that.
So when I showed up, they had just started their 2003 deployment. So I showed up, checked into the command, but the ship was gone. So they flew me to Japan for a couple of days. So I was waiting in Japan for the ship to come out of South Korea so we could catch a flight and land on the ship. And it was such an incredible experience as a young man coming out of school, fresh in the Navy. And they're like, we're going to put you on this airplane. We're going to fly you out in the middle of the ocean and you're going to crash on this aircraft carrier. Because that's what they do. Landing on an aircraft. It's more crash.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
So as the aircraft carrier is moving, the plane's got to, come in and crash on it, grab a hook, and hopefully grab the hook and stop. So that was a pretty incredible experience as a young sailor. And so I checked on board her. That deployment, we were out for 10 and a half months.
Okay.
And so I left a newborn baby, came back to a 10-month-old.
Oh, wow.
So it was interesting.
So when you're down there under the water, right? Because you go down and you don't get to see anything but the inside of the submarine for
aircraft carriers.
Oh,
I was on aircraft carrier.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I don't know why I had submarine in my brain, but so you're on the aircraft carrier, and at least you get to see the horizon. You don't get to visit a lot of ports, but you get to visit some.
Mm-hmm.
And how was that experience? Because an aircraft carrier is a moderately sized city.
Yeah.
And it's, I think the city of Concord is bigger than an aircraft carrier as far as the number of people, but Pleasant Hill is smaller. Maybe.
See, Pleasant Hill's got about 27,000 people, I believe. Yeah. With the full complimentary air wing, we had about 6,000.
Oh, okay.
Okay. 6,000 people on 4 football fields. Like the flight deck's 4 football fields long. Yeah. So you have 6,000 people living underneath that.
Yeah.
And you have all of the amenities of a modern city. We have gyms on board.
Yeah.
Multiple gyms. We've got stores where you can go buy things that if you run out of shaving cream, X, Y, or Z. There's a post office. We get letters. There's a TV studio that broadcasts movies on various channels. So yeah, as long as you're not working, there are things to do for leisure.
Okay.
Okay. So it's incredible. When you pull into port, though, you're going into a foreign city with 6,000 of your best friends. So it's like just a flood of people.
Yeah, and I'm sure the locals are either elated or not so much.
Usually they're elated. There's a lot of financial a lot of wealth coming into a small area for a certain amount of time. And you know how sailors get. We want to get out there. We want to relax.
Yeah. So what was your favorite ports of call?
That's. I really enjoyed Southeast Asia.
Okay.
I loved. I really enjoyed the Philippines. Stationed in Guam for a couple of years. We'll get there. Singapore is awesome. Yeah, really like it. Japan's really cool. South Korea.
I heard Singapore is really clean.
It is.
You know, it's just like, I mean, there's not a speck of anything on the ground, and it is just like, you know.
And it's interesting because at night, it's kind of a wild party town. But by the time the morning hits and the businesses start, everything is cleaned up and it's meticulous and it's really impressive.
Wow, it's really squared away.
Yes, a very modern city as well.
Yeah. Well, I think that was the post-World War II thing, is they just went, you know what, we're going to make this thing. I think there was actually a dictatorship that went with it, but they seem to have done a good job.
Yeah.
So you enjoyed the tours and stuff like that. How long were you on the Carl Vinson?
6.5 years, from 2003 to 2009.
Okay. But you were touring Southeast Asia, and that was when we were getting the process of doing things in the Middle East and Afghanistan.
Yes, sir.
So you didn't have the opportunity to experience that. So,
well, we had our part to play. We played our part very well. We had a mission and we executed the mission. And while you're on mission, like, you still pull into port because you still need logistical support. The crew needs to decompress. So we'd pull into like Dubai or United Arab Emirates.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then we'd pull into Bahrain.
Okay.
So there's some places over there where you can still get some leisure activity.
Okay. All right. Well, so you went everywhere.
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And in 2005, we had to refuel. So she had reached her 20-year point. And so it was time for her to get to Virginia so they could pull the sticks out of the reactor and put all new fuel in. So we had the opportunity to do an around the world cruise, and we got to hang out. We went from Washington to Japan, down to Australia, across to Singapore, then through the Suez Canal. We hit a bunch of ports in the Mediterranean, and then shot across the Atlantic to Virginia. It's a really cool experience.
Man, so yeah, if you want a fun experience, go be in the Navy.
Yes.
Because you get to see a lot of stuff.
You really do.
Yeah. So you get in and they're trading the fuel rods out. And what's that look like as far as an experience? Because it's not like you go to the gas station and they just plug it in.
No, it takes years.
Really?
Years.
Okay.
At least 4 years if everything is on schedule.
Well, nothing ever is.
I didn't want to say that, but yeah.
Well, it's like doing a kitchen remodel. You know, not the same, but I mean, it's the idea is like, it's like, oh, the contractor says, oh yeah, it'll take 12 weeks. It's like, no, it won't.
No.
So.
Yeah. And I mean, there's so many players that come into that, because it's not just they're refueling the reactor. The equipment needs overhauled as well, and the ship needs modernized. So it's a major shipyard period. We pull the aircraft carrier into dry dock. We pull it in. We drain the dry dock, we put the ships on blocks, and then they start cutting. They cut into the ship. They cut from the flight deck down into the engine room, and there's a big crane that goes over and it pulls the fuel out.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So it's a thing. And since you got it open, you might as well start, you got the hood off. It's like, you might as well start like tearing everything apart.
Upgrade everything.
So it's well, and actually 4 years, that's about how long it takes to do a moderate, overhaul of, like, you know, a hot rod. So except this is a much bigger hot rod
with much more financial.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. It's not like, well, how fast do you want to go? Well, how much money do you got? It's like, no, this is the U.S. Navy. And so they just say, no, we want to go as fast as possible.
Absolutely.
So did you get to hang out? I mean, 4 years is a long time to be in dock, in port. Mm-hmm. So what did you do during that time period?
We still maintain the reactor. We have shutdown conditions that we have to maintain. We have to make sure that it's safe still, because there are things going on still inside the core that you have to monitor. So we're continuously monitoring it 24/7 from commission to decommission.
Okay.
There's a trained sailor at the reactor plant control console. I can say that. Yeah. I got to be careful to skirt what's classified, what you can talk about, what you can't talk about.
Yeah.
So you're still standing watch. You still stand duty, which is where you stay overnight on the ship. Every 3 days, you're doing a 24-hour shift because it's your turn. Mm-hmm. You're still doing qualifications. You're still doing your education. You still have your monthly exams that you have to do. So,
Wow, it's a process, isn't it?
yes, it is.
So, and I'm sure there's a lot of math involved, but
Yep.
so you're doing that, and so how long were you doing that for?
That was from 2005 to 2009.
Oh wow!
Right.
Okay.
We refueled. We got the ship buttoned back up. Everything was retested. Which the retesting is my favorite part.
Oh
Yeah, I love.
how much of that can you talk about?
Well, so once the core is refueled, right, then you start testing it and you make sure that everything is where it needs to be, and you start getting the parameters that you need to operate. And then you start testing the steam plant, because that's been ripped apart as well. All your turbines get upgraded, the equipment.
Descaled, they get
Yes,
it's like
sir.
all the valves get replaced, all that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know what you're talking about.
A little bit, because you 20 years of hot water running through anything, it's just like it's going to get pretty,
Gunked up. Absolutely.
Yep.
Things erode. So, yeah, like you're saying, that we replace all the pipes and the valves that we can. And then you have to test it. Anytime you break open a system and you seal it back up, you have to make sure that where you broke it is going to be able to hold the pressure that you're putting into it when you're operating. And so it's much better to test these things, obviously, in port under a controlled environment than it is to get out
in the
to
middle
sea.
of the Atlantic or something. Yeah.
Yes, sir, where you don't have the resources that are available to you.
So who's doing the welding on these things? Because obviously, I mean, when you're tearing out valves and you're doing all this, you got highly qualified individuals who are doing the welding. You got highly qualified, because this is not Bob doing the shade tree mechanic stuff. I'll make your boat go faster. This is like super highly qualified guys. Are these Navy vets, or they're the civilian operators in Virginia?
Yes, sir. They work for the shipyard, and they're specially trained to, like nuclear welders are nuclear welders. Special training, special niche. And they bring in the big guns when it comes to this.
I'm sure those guys make a boatload of money, because there is just like, you got to know exactly. And I'm sure those welds are perfect too.
They are. Yeah, absolutely.
So AI will not replace them.
No.
So, okay. So you're back, you get to restart everything, which is always the exciting part of any rebuild. I've done enough of my hot rod rebuilds to know that that's like, well, for me, it was always okay, let's make sure everything is going to happen. Got to wait for the oil pressure to come up. And you guys are probably doing the same thing, but it's like you probably have a checklist that goes through.
Yes. Yeah. Many checks. This piece of equipment has its own set of checklists. This piece of equipment, and then you have the big system checklist that once, that's good to go. That's good to go. Let's give them steam. Let's test them. And then once everything is tested, then you get to go on what's called builder's trials or sea trials.
Oh, okay.
You get to take the ship out while the supervision is there, like the shipyard experts are there, not just the Navy operators. We're operating it, but there's oversight, because technically we don't own the ship at that point. We turned it over to the shipyard. You guys fix it. We'll, maintain and monitor. So they fix everything. We get out to sea, and then you put the ship through its tests. You get it going as fast as you can, and then you slam it in reverse and you see what she does. You get going as fast as you can. You turn the wheel over and you see what she does.
Okay.
Right? The only thing we don't do on those post-refueling is shock trials. Shock trials are usually reserved to the first in class. Since we weren't the first Nimitz class carrier, we didn't get the opportunity to.
And what's a shock trial?
Shock trial is when they take the ship out and they detonate an explosive near it. And then they see what that does to the ship, whether the foundations for all the equipment come loose, if the equipment breaks at all. So they shock the ship, and they take it in port and they fix everything. And then they take it back out to sea and they move the explosion a little bit closer. And they shock it again. And so they do that a couple of different times just to see what equipment, and especially on a new carrier like the Ford, they did it a couple of times because it had new technology that had never been through this kind of trial in the setting that they had it. So they took her out there, they shocked it, they saw a lot of things broke, they brought it in, fixed it, reinforced some stuff, took it out, broke it again, brought it back, refit.
Well, and it's not like you're going to the car show. You're going out there to go to war or be prepared to. And so the thing is you don't want your stuff to break the first time you run into a problem.
Absolutely.
I was going to ask you about the Ford. If that was when that would have been kind of fun to be on that.
It would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The chief engineer was a really good friend of mine at that time. And so he shared some cool experiences about
that. So you got to go out, do everything but shock trials, which you were probably going tier. I wish I could.
Yep. Yeah. And then from there, there was an incident in Haiti, I believe it was. There was I don't remember if it was a hurricane or an earthquake or something, but the first mission coming out of the refueling was to go provide assistance to Haiti. And at that point, I transferred to Charleston, where I was an instructor for the nuclear school.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got to be an instructor. Did you enjoy that?
I loved it. There's nothing is more rewarding than watching an aha moment.
Mhm.
Like I assume being in education, you know what I'm talking about. When that light bulb clicks, you're like, oh, aha. You will never forget that now.
Yeah. Well, and it's that magic moment when they put, because they usually are like trying to put the pieces together. There's all these pieces. All of a sudden, it's like, bam, and it's like magic.
It's beautiful.
You know,
such an amazing.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing thing to see, but to contribute to that, like to be part of it, is really rewarding.
Yeah. So you got to do that for a while. What was next after that?
After that, so I had made chief petty officer while I was there.
Oh, okay.
I was selected and accepted into the chief's mess. And then from there, I went to be the reactor controls leading chief petty officer on the CVN 71, which was a Theodore Roosevelt.
Okay.
And so I had done the refueling on the 70. And they go in order. 70 does her refueling and she gets out to sea. 71 comes in to do her refueling. Hers wasn't as smooth as the 70s. So I got the opportunity to go assist in the 71's retesting.
Okay.
And because she had some major upgrades with her instrumentation and control equipment, and that's what I specialized in. And that's what I taught in Charleston. So they were having some issues. They brought me into the 71. We were able to upgrade all of her equipment and get her out to sea.
Okay. So you were kind of like the troubleshooter. You're that mechanic that comes in when we can't figure out what's going on. And okay.
Yep.
Okay. Well, and I mean, that must be a good feeling. It's like when the Navy is calling you in to be the kind of the troubleshooter, and it's like, okay, we can't quite get this working. So
yes and no. The problem is with the closer, they never take the closer and put him on an easy job. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, we have an emergency. What do we do? Bring in the closer.
Well, yeah. It's like if you're gonna be Rob Nen, you know, it's like that's the thing you got to do. Or what was his name out of L.A.? Sorry, guys.
No.
Brian. Now, there was a guy, him and Barry Bonds used to battle it out. And Barry Bonds finally jacked one out on him. The guy threw like 105 miles an hour.
That's it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it was just, anyways, so, well, and that's true, because you don't call in your specialist when, you know, it's kind of like doctors become specialists, you know, and it's like they don't get the easy patients.
No.
You know, it's never, it's like, oh no, that's a stubbed toe. You get to go home.
Yeah, here's a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
I guess there are benefits to being that guy, because there are certain opportunities that become available to you because you're in that high stress position, which I took advantage of. I got commissioned on the CVN 71.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, nice. So how was that getting commissioned? I mean, it sounds like you had a lot of opportunities that lined up for you, because you just continually applied yourself. And so you went from being a chief petty officer to
an ensign.
An ensign.
Yeah. Okay. The top of the enlisted to the bottom of the officer. Right. So it was very humbling, because as a chief petty officer, your word is gold. Like, nobody questions you, because you're wearing the anchors, you come from the deck plates. Now, when you put that butter bar on, if people don't recognize the uniform and they just see the butter bar, they think that you're right out of college. No offense to those right out of college, but there is a certain degree of respect that you get for having time on the pond.
Yeah.
And most ensigns, with all due respect, don't have a lot of time on the pond.
Yeah.
So it was very humbling to go from being treated one way to being treated a different way. The good thing is, though, is you take your licks, you work through it, and then you expand from it.
Yeah. Well, and you'd already kind of done that, so you kind of knew that once you got there, that you were just, once you figured it out, it was just like, okay, I know what I need to do.
Just a matter of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So once I got commissioned, they shipped my family and I out to Guam for 2 years.
Oh, okay.
So I went from aircraft carrier nuclear operations to submarine repair.
Okay.
Which was a whole different ball game.
Really?
Whole different world.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What can you tell us about that?
So the important thing about submarines is you maintain a 1-to-1 dive to surface ratio. Anything that prevents that from becoming a 1-to-1 ratio is...
What does that mean, 1-to-1 ratio?
Every time you dive, you need to surface.
Okay.
Right, 1 to 1. One
Well, that makes
dive,
sense.
one surface.
Well, that makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
And so repairing submarines, when you're working on a system that may impede that 1 to 1 dive to surface ratio, becomes very political and very meticulous because you don't want seawater to get into the people space when you're underwater.
How is that political? That seems like it would just make sense.
Well, there's a lot of paperwork that goes with it. Like,
okay. Okay.
you have to, the paperwork, you have to verify that the T's are crossed and the lowercase J's are dotted. Because if they're not, you start over.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's even more so than when you're getting called in to troubleshoot for, the truth is like, submarines, they go underwater, and if something goes wrong, it goes way, way wrong.
Yes.
And it's not like you can call up AAA or just, stand by the side of the road and hope somebody pulls over to help you jack up the car and put on a new tire.
Right. And when they're underwater on mission, they may be somewhere where they're not necessarily supposed to be, or they're not supposed to known to be there. And when something goes wrong when you're there, it gets
all that.
Yeah, very political.
Yeah.
Yes, is a good word.
Okay. So I get it now, but it's like I see where it would become much higher stress, getting that right, as opposed to. I'm not to say it didn't have to be right on the Carl Vincent or the next ship. It was just, but if something goes wrong there, it's like, well, it's bad form.
Mm-hmm. It's a different level of right.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So
there were many a times where I would have to take a team when we were stationed in Guam. We would get a message that a submarine had something broken, and we would have to fly to a foreign port to repair it. And not all of the foreign ports were necessarily friendly to the cause that we were going to repair. So it was interesting. It was a lot of fun, though.
Okay. So you end up in some country that doesn't like you because you're wearing that uniform, and okay, yes, but you still got a job to do.
Absolutely.
And did anything happen that was like, untold or that you can't talk about? Or
we would have to turn the video off.
Okay.
That would be another story for another time.
Okay. So you're getting through this, you're flying back and forth out of Guam. We actually have, and I'm trying to remember his name. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, but I'll tag him in it. But we did a podcast with him. He actually he's ended up staying in Guam. He ended up getting stationed out there through the military, and he now runs a radio station out of there.
Oh,
so yeah. So, oh my gosh, I can't believe I can't remember his name, but I'll tag him I'll put him in the show notes.
Yeah. Guam is incredible. Guam is such a beautiful, beautiful island, gem out there in the middle of the Southern Pacific. Yeah.
So is your family out there with you?
At this time they were, yes.
Okay.
Sir. So I had the option to do a 12-month unaccompanied tour or a 24-month accompanied tour. And so we chose the 24-month accompanied tour. So my wife at the time, we had 2 children. We moved everyone to Guam.
Okay.
My son was just a little guy, so he barely remembers it. But it was an amazing time.
And did she like being in Guam?
For the first week or so, yeah. And then she kind of started getting island fever. And then at that point, you're like, okay, let's travel. Let's, go. So they flew to Hawaii and they enjoyed Hawaii. And there's some things that you can do out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I imagine because Guam is not that big.
It's not. It's about 40 miles long, and at its narrowest, about 5 miles wide.
Yeah. And especially like here in California, there's a lot of variety, and yeah, Guam is kind of all the same from one end to the next, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The beaches are different. The beaches on the different parts of the island are completely different.
Okay.
So it depends on what you're wanting to do, whether you want to snorkel, spearfish, scuba dive. Depends on where you go.
Okay. So you're on Guam. You get your 24 months, and then what happens?
I shipped back to Virginia to become the electrical officer on the CVN-73 USS George Washington.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. So you're moving up in the world of nuclear power there.
Yes. So I actually was in engineering department on the 73, but working in reactor department, if that makes sense. I was the electrical officer, so I was in charge of all the electrical distribution from the propulsion plant to the ship. But I also stood watch for reactor department. I would stand engineering officer to watch. So I was the one supervising both reactors and distributing that electrical power.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So what year is this? This is
2016 to 2020.
Okay.
And there was a period of time where I was actually the electrical officer and the auxiliaries officer because they didn't have a replacement for the auxiliaries officer who retired. And so they're like, all right, TJ, you get to wear both hats. And that was a lot of fun.
Okay. So what's the auxiliary officer, Tim?
Auxiliaries officer is in charge of, let's see, I would say auxiliary equipment outside the propulsion plant. So I was in charge of like the weapons elevators that would move the bombs from the belly of the ship up to the hangar bay and then up to the flight deck, all the aircraft elevators that move the airplanes up and down throughout the ship, the big equipment, the rudders, the anchor windlasses, all the.
So you're dealing with the nuclear plant, getting the electricity all through it, and then on top of that, all the elevators that are lifting really heavy stuff.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
And the AC plant, and the chillers.
Okay.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was one of the highlights of my career was holding both of those hats. Wow. And being able to just learn, because there's just so much to learn. And even if you know it all, there's still so much more to learn.
Well, I imagine, I know this as I get older, and the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know anything.
Yes.
And it's, and it's like the kind of the idea of like, it's like, well, if you look at the amount of things that you know, which is like about the size of a walnut, it's like that you're aware that you don't know is not very big. Well, when you get to be about the size of a basketball, it's like that size gets really big, a beach ball and on and on. And so, yeah, I could see where, especially you get into another field, essentially, and you're probably going, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So,
and I love to see how everything on the ship, it works together. It's like a beehive. Everybody has their own piece of the puzzle. And if they don't apply their piece of the puzzle to the big puzzle, then it doesn't work. It's really cool. And the higher you go, at least from my experience, the higher I would go in ranking and responsibility, the more I realized that I worked for the people that were working for me. And it really led me to develop this subservient leadership, because if my success is determined by the success of those below me, if there's anything that's preventing them from doing their job, that's going to prevent me from doing my job.
So you went to being that, well, I don't want to call it a boss, but that officer that was, let me help you get rid of the obstacles that are going to help you, that are preventing you from doing your job.
Yes, sir.
Which is considered a very advanced way of doing leadership at all. So, I've had some bosses like that, and then I've had some bosses not like that.
And there's a big one you want to work for, and one you don't even want to go to work.
Yep. Yeah. So, so you get through that. How was that tour, by the way?
It was awesome. It was amazing. Yeah. It was a 4-year tour. It was only supposed to be 36 months, but I extended it to 48.
Okay.
And it was a very successful tour, very hard tour, because she was refueling also at this time, because I went CVN 70, CVN 71. I missed the 72, which is the Abraham Lincoln. Unfortunately, my older brother was stationed on her for many years, so that would have been really cool. And then so I got to do the CVN 73's refueling.
Okay.
As the auxiliary officer and electrical officer.
Oh, excuse me. So you kind of were the guy that they called in to almost incidentally to, okay, we're going to refuel. Mm-hmm. Let's bring in TJ.
Yep.
He'll be part of the crew.
Yep.
So that's kind of cool.
It is.
Yeah. Well, it's not kind of cool. It's very cool. So, okay. So you get done with that tour, right? What happens next?
So from there, I was selected to be the reactor maintenance officer on the USS George H.W. Bush.
Okay.
So it came with a promotion to lieutenant commander.
Oh.
A spot promote. So, which was really cool. I was very junior and in the Navy sense to be wearing that level of responsibility. Mm-hmm. But it was a lot of fun. I was in charge of all the maintenance and the operations of both reactors and propulsion plants.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you really had your hands full.
I did. It was incredibly busy, mm-hmm. but so extremely rewarding.
Mm-hmm. And you had a good team.
Very good team. Yeah. And that's what it takes, is creating that good team.
Now, do you get to select the people that are going to be on your crew, or they just get assigned to you, then you can work on getting them integrated into the process?
A little bit of both. So you have the different principal assistants. I was a reactor maintenance officer. We have a reactor training officer, a reactor mechanical assistant, a reactor electrical officer, and a main propulsion assistant, mm-hmm. and a chemistry and radcon officer. So you have these high-level players in reactor department, and we each have our own responsibilities. And to a degree, I can say, I want this person on my team. And then, okay, well, I want this person. So you go through and you pick. It's not like I got to go, I want all of these on mine, right?
Okay.
So, you do have your team, and there are some times that you have people on your team that don't necessarily want to be team players. So you have to learn how to motivate them to be part of the team.
Yeah, and that does not involve a shot caller or a stick.
No, if that's what it takes for you to get people to work for you, then you're probably not somebody that.
Yeah, you're probably not. You're not cut out to have. You're not. You should probably go find something else to do.
Yes, sir.
So you're there. You're a lieutenant commander, which is not a nobody. And I'm like, well, you're sitting here with the flannel on, and I've never seen you not with a flannel on, and so it's like kind of like, wow, okay. So then what happens at that point? I mean, do you have any good stories from that time period, or?
Ooh, I do. I'm not sure. Let's see. So we were finishing up. It's called a DPIA. It's a dry dock post incremental availability. So it's not a minor maintenance period. It's not a refueling. It was only a 2-year dry docking period where we did some modernization on the ship, some upkeep. And when we were retesting her, we had some issues with some of the pipes.
Oh,
some min wall thickness issues.
Okay.
So as we're testing and we have water going from one propulsion plant to the other, one of the pipes didn't want to be part of the team, so she burst and sent water everywhere. And water is a very lucrative resource when you're operating a steam plant, right? So when you're trying to operate a steam plant and you don't have any steam going, it becomes kind of stressful. So we had to.
Becomes kind of a problem.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So that was interesting getting through that, like a broken pipe. We had to, cut it out, put it in, and retest it. And it put us behind a little bit, but that was the biggest hiccup that I had to deal with that I can talk about.
Yeah. Well, but the thing is, I look at this is like anything, it's like you draft up a plan, it's kind of like your plan in the Navy. I'm sure this was not it.
No.
Yeah. And it's like, well, and we'll get back and talk about, before we get you out of the Navy, we'll talk about what your plan originally was compared to now. We've heard a lot of it. But I think that's something important that a lot of times, especially young students, is like they don't realize that life is super not linear. And it's like, you have a plan to, okay, we're going to do this maintenance on the plant, and this is the checklist. This is everything. And then something decides it doesn't want to play, in the sandbox with you. And it's like all of a sudden you're going, well, we're a little behind.
Yep.
But that's kind of what happens.
It is. We have to pivot.
Yeah. So, well, and I think that illustrates that point. It's kind of, it happened. Everyone's upset, and let's go weld in a new pipe.
Yep. We always said that, well, we have a plan, but then the propulsion plant gets its vote. And we didn't consult the propulsion plant when we made this plan.
It was not part of it. It was not in on the meeting.
No, it wasn't.
Okay. It missed the memo. So you get through that. You're a lieutenant commander now. And then where were we going?
So at this point, this is where I got my medical retirement.
Okay.
They came in and said, okay, it's time for you got some medical issues that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to sideline you for a little bit and get you out of the Navy and get you taken care of.
Okay.
And so it was kind of abrupt, but it was good.
Yeah.
It was really good for my health.
Okay.
Probably wouldn't be here talking to you today if somebody above me didn't make that decision.
Okay. So I know a lot of times when we have things like that sprung on us, we usually fight and fuss with it, and then eventually kind of come to acceptance. And then it's like, okay, now I can go on the path. How was the process for you of like, you went from this job that career, everything that was just like, it couldn't possibly be better. This is like a gold-plated opportunity. And all of a sudden they go, well, we're going to take this away from you.
It was extremely humbling, extremely frustrating because, like you said, I had a plan. I was going to be the chief engineer, which is the pinnacle of the program that I was in. I was a limited duty officer.
Oh, wow.
And so there's only so many things that I could do in the field I was in, and chief engineer is like the pinnacle. And that's that would have been 2 tours later. But then with this, it was kind of like, hey, we're going to have you do something else, which was extremely humbling. But it was, looking back, it has been it's been a huge blessing that my career ended when it did.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was going through a divorce at the time, and it was hard because that's who I was. I'd been in for 22 years at this time. I'd been in the military longer than out of the military. And now all of a sudden I'm being told, take your ball and go home. That's okay. Can I go find somewhere else to play?
Yeah. Well, and it is tough when you have a huge part of your career is that, and you now got, you get thrown this, okay, you're done playing with us.
Yeah.
And so you get out. You're going for a divorce, which is never fun. We don't have to talk too much about it.
Right.
But I've had one also. So it's just,
it's part of life.
It is. So now up to this point, when you first went in the Navy, what did you think your career trajectory looked like?
Oh, when I first joined, I was going to do 8 years and get out because it was an initial 8-year contract.
Okay.
And 2 years in, I was eligible to reenlist. It was called a star reenlistment. There's a pretty lucrative bonus with nukes when they reenlist, and then they were going to promote me to E5. And so 2 years in, it was about 21 months, I signed. I extended, and then came up to reenlistment again. I was like, I'm having a lot of fun doing this. Why not keep it going? So on my 4th reenlistment, I looked in the mirror and I said, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to stay enlisted, or am I going to make the decision to become an officer? And the biggest thing is that with my experience on the deck plate, being on the multiple platforms that I'd been on, I knew how to run a division and I knew how to run a propulsion plant. I had a sour taste in my mouth with somebody who didn't know how to run a division, somebody who didn't know how to run a propulsion plant, but telling me how to. I know that that's not humbling at all, but I decided I wanted to be the one that said, this is how we're going to do business. And in order to do that, I had to be commissioned. And so that's the route I took. It's like, no, I'm going to make sure this is what I can do to make life better for those that work for me. And so that was a decision. At my 12-year mark, I decided to become commissioned, and I was commissioned at my 14-year mark.
Okay. So, but your original goal was just 8 years and I'm out. I'll go to college. I'll do something else.
I didn't even go to college. No.
Okay.
No, I didn't know what I was going to do. I was so young at that point. I was 17 when I joined. I had a wife and a kid in high school. I had my second kid when I was 19. So I was making these decisions that, no offense, I was not mature enough to be making. The good thing about that, though, is that you grow up real quick when you make those decisions.
Yeah.
Which I think is one of the reasons I was so successful, is because I had my priorities and I knew what I needed to do to take care of my priorities. And staying in the military was that.
I think one of the and this is where I think the military should get more kudos, is it's like it gives an opportunity for a young person, man or woman, a chance to figure out what the heck they're going to do. And they either, enjoy it, like you apparently did for 22 years. It's, I'm going to guess. Or they don't, in which case, but they learn to stick to it long enough to get through it. And I've, what is it? 99% of life is showing up.
Yes.
And you learn how to do that in the military because, you don't get to not show up.
So to be successful in the military, you only need to do 3 things.
Okay.
You need to show up on time, in the proper uniform, with the proper haircut. That's half the battle. Okay. Right. And so I've got one of those 3 already licked. Yeah. Right. My hair is always good to go. I just have to show up on time in a proper uniform.
Okay. Well, and actually that's a good part of life. The uniform, actually, yeah. You can't show up in your Speedo to a networking event. So
depends on the network event.
Yeah, that's true. But but I think those are good lessons that it takes some people a long time to be able to kind of wrap their arms around that.
And we use like a fake it till you make it kind of thing in the military. Whereas if you show up and you're mentally ready to do the job, then you'll be able to start learning how to do the job.
I actually don't like the fake it till you make it, because that implies that you're not engaged. You may not know how to do it, but if you're engaged, you'll learn.
Absolutely.
And that's where it's like, and I understand the fake it till you make it thing, but I think that gives you an excuse to just never get engaged. You showed up and you kept getting more and more interested in whatever the heck it was they were throwing out in front of you. It would have been, I imagine that if they'd said, okay, you got to come up with the best way to mop a deck, you would have attacked that like just everything and figured out and patented and this and that. But that seems to be like the guy that you are, is that, you get super interested and super engaged.
Yep. Because it's not just me that's going to be mopping that deck. I'm setting the line of what's the best way to mop a deck. Let's create an instruction. Let's teach those that this is the best way to do it.
Yeah.
And swabbing a deck is just an example, but that's the way it is with anything.
Yeah. And some things have more consequences than others if you don't do it right. I mean, swapping a deck, it's like, yeah, you're going to end up with a dirty deck or a slippery deck. That's always bad. Yeah. But a lot of the things you were working on, you can have more severe consequences if they go bad.
Yes, but it started with swapping a deck. I had to prove to my supervisors that I knew how to take tasking and how to do it properly, and how to show people the tasking that I did, have it inspected, how to take criticism with, hey, you did good, but X, Y, and Z. And then you learn how to evaluate work, right? That's a big thing, is learning how to evaluate processes, how to improve on processes. And that's a lot of things I don't think we have much of nowadays. People get offended by being told that their work might not be up to par. So.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. I like that because I think that's one of the things is that I try to be, and I'm not always very successful at it, but I do try to always be open to how can I do this better. Yeah. And I sign up to a million webinars, and some are interesting and some are not. But usually it's like, it's places where I feel deficient. Like social media. It's I've kind of conquered LinkedIn, but I need to get better at it. And and people, oh, you're the master. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm good. I'm okay, but it's like, I'm kind of blundering my way through it. But to your point, it's finding somebody that'll sit there and instruct you in such a way. It's like, yeah, you're doing great on this. However, you need to get better at this. And that's tough to find somebody that you're willing to be mentored by. And I don't think everybody's really ready for that.
And you have to be willing to take the criticism.
Yeah. So, and we'll get back on track in a minute. Okay. So what would you say to somebody if they're looking to, because we're going down a rabbit hole, which is awesome.
Let's
go. So what would you say to somebody if they were, in need of preparing themselves for that, being criticized and developed? I mean, you just talked about the whole thing, because it's like, you got thrown a curveball because you got bumped off your, but you bring all those lessons that you learned in the military from how to do a process, be willing to take criticism, how to pass an inspection, and then figure out how to teach somebody else to do it, right? How do you think somebody should approach learning to prepare themselves for that? What's that look like?
It looks like being passionate about it, but at the same time not being attached to it.
Okay.
That's that. And don't let it justify you as a person, but understand that it's got to get done. It needs to get done to the best of it, the best way it can get done. And you being so close to the problem might not be the person to decide the best way it gets done. At the same time, humbling yourself to take the criticism by somebody who is taking a 5,000-foot look at what you're doing, and being able to take that criticism from them and improve on it. It's difficult. It's very difficult to do. A lot of people get so impassioned that that's all they are is what they're doing. It's like, no, you can take a step back.
Yeah.
Isolate yourself from it.
Well, and I tell people, I do some classes, and it's like I tell them I'm on my 5th or 6th career. So I've learned, and it's been beaten into me a few times, not pleasantly, but it's just, one of those things of like, okay, I got to go find something else to do. And it's hard.
It is very hard. Like, I came here, I was like, I'm going to get my mechanical engineering degree. Well, I am 43 years old. My son is 15 years old.
Yeah, I've seen him come through.
Yeah,
he's over at CP.
Yeah, he's my hero, my son. And in order to, what it would take for me to get my mechanical engineering degree would be of high cost to me of my life right now. What I value in life right now, I didn't value in life the same 20 years ago. Now I only want to hang out with my son, right? I want as much time with him as possible. And this last semester, I spent so much time in front of the whiteboard. He's growing up without me, without me right there. And it's like, I'm going to pivot. I'm going to go from my engineering degree. I'm going to swap over to business. It's going to allow me a little bit, more time with my son, but still it's going to be a lucrative career change and something I've not done before. I've been in the engineering world for so long that something different is going to be awesome. So I think it's really important to learn how to pivot and to recognize when you need to.
Well, you bring such wonderful leadership qualities, because we talked about the kind of bosses that, some of them are, set fairly dictatorial. You will do it my way. Oh, good luck with that scooter. Yeah. So it was 2022 when you got here?
2023.
23.
The end of 23, I moved.
This is
to
26. Sorry.
No,
It's like, I'm like,
So I took 2024 off from doing anything.
okay.
Right? And I moved my son out here after my ex-wife and I got divorced. And
Okay.
he came out here to live with me. He goes to school across the street. And then, I took 2024 off. I started school here at spring of 2025.
Okay. Well, it was fortunate that you had the resources to be able to take that year off. Because again, having that chance to kind of like figure out, okay, take a minute, kind of slow your wheels a little bit, and then figure out, okay, what am I going to do? And not pressuring yourself into doing something that wasn't going to be what you were going to want to do.
Absolutely.
So what did that year off look like?
Well, it was hard, believe it or not, from somebody who was high speed, low drag for 23 years and now all of a sudden hitting the brakes. I actually ended up having a heart attack in May of 2024.
Oh my gosh.
I think all the stress and everything just kind of lifted off, and I decompressed so much that my body didn't know what to do without that stress. So it just kind of threw me for a loop. But it was relaxing. It was awesome to adjust my course and being able to take the time to see that there were other courses that I could take. And it was very disenchanting, disilluminating. I got to step outside, not necessarily society, but I got to step outside of myself and evaluate things. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to go back to school. Let's try this. I can hang with these 18, 19-year-old professional students. Some of these kids are so intelligent. Oh my goodness. It's so impressive to see and to be a part of.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I'm constantly amazed. Like when I go to a club meeting and I'm sitting there watching them, I'm going, I am the dumbest guy in this room. And it's, they go, oh, no, you're not. Yeah, I am. Yeah. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and that's all right.
Yeah. So you're doing you decide to come back. You're going to become a mechanical engineer.
Yes.
Right. And is that because that was what you'd always done, or?
No, I was actually more on the electronics side. I was more of like an electrical engineer, because my specialty, when I was enlisted, I was an electronics technician. So I was responsible for all the instrumentation and automation that goes into operating the reactor. And my watch station, I was actually a reactor operator. So I would control the fission rate and stuff like that. And for maintenance, I would do the maintenance on all the instrumentation that protects it as well. So electronics are in my blood. Mechanical stuff made me uncomfortable.
Oh.
And that's why I wanted to go,
that's right.
I want to learn.
You had the job of looking after the lifts and everything like that. And that probably was a little outside of your comfort zone.
It was, but it was just so incredible and cool. It's like, that's what I want to do. And so, I went with the mechanical engineering route.
Okay. And, well, and this is where I think taking a minute as we go through stuff that we go through, whatever it is, life, because life is life, is like in evaluating, maybe this is not the path right now for me. So you had that moment too, where you decided that you wanted to spend time with your son, right?
Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago. I think I had another minor heart attack.
Oh.
And it was once again, life-changing, like, where am I going? What am I doing? This is not where I want to be. This is not where I want to go. And so it was a blessing in disguise. It really was. And so, I'm pivoting, and I'm going to start working on the paperwork to change my major to business management.
You'll do great.
I hope so.
No, you will.
So.
Because I think us older folks, I'm a lot older than you, but
us,
us folks, older folks, we bring a perspective and a patience that I think that 18 and 19-year-old and 20-year-olds don't have. I mean, I didn't have any patience when I was 20. Yeah. It's just like everything need to be right now. And now it's just kind of like, well, hang on. It works itself out.
Absolutely.
So what is it that so first of all, you moved here to California, to Martinez. What brought you to Martinez?
Oh, my mom and stepdad live in Martinez.
Oh, okay.
So I moved in with them for a little bit.
Okay.
I got to really get a lay of the land, find out where I wanted to live. Initially, it was, okay, let's find a career. Let's find out. And there's power plants, there's refineries, there's all kind of industry that I could just jump right into and just start working, be a maintenance manager somewhere, or a director, like something I could very easily fit into the role and just operate like nothing had stopped. But then again, I would be back in the same world doing the same thing that I was doing. Would there be any personal growth in that? There probably would be to some extent. But then let's try something I've never done before. Let's get uncomfortable. Let's go to school and then let's get humbled a little bit.
So what drew you to the idea of getting yourself uncomfortable? Because it's like I equate everything to bicycling, because it's like I started off and it's like it was really hard and it's gotten easier, but it's like I still look for that hill where it's like, oh man, that's going to be a tough hill, and then I get to the top and it's like, oh, that wasn't that bad. But it's like, what drew you to that? Is like, was it just?
I don't know. I think I've just been in that uncomfortableness for so long that it became normal. And there's no growth in comfort. If you want to grow in an area, then you need to be uncomfortable in that area. And so absolutely, I've got a lot of shortfalls that I'm trying to progress and, become better in. And the only way to do that is to make yourself uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If you want to get in shape, you're going to have to get in the gym. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah. I got to lay off the carbs. So that's going to be the thing. So you come here to DVC because it's close. Yes. And what is it that kind of has drawn you in and continued to? Because I know you've been involved with the vet center. The SVA down there is terrific, and I don't think there's another one around here for a while, for a while. So how has that experience been for you, the Student Veteran Center?
That was meeting Marina, who runs the Student Veteran Center. That's when I knew I needed to be in school. So there's a camaraderie that you have in the military, that the person to your left, the person to your, they have your back. And then when you leave the military, you don't have that. It's like a safety net's been removed, if that makes sense. And it's hard to explain to somebody who's never had the camaraderie of military service. And it felt like as soon as you walk in there, you just feel it. You feel like, okay, this is familiar, right? And it's like you're back in the military with all the benefits of being a civilian.
Yeah.
And the manager down there, Marina, is just such an incredible leader. And you would never know that she doesn't have military service by the way she treats people, by the way she acts, the way she leads, by the way she inspires. Yeah, it's such a blessing.
She's her father, I think, was in the Army. I think it's the Army.
Army or Air Force?
Maybe Air Force. I don't remember. My memory's kind of a little shot right now. But to that point, that's one of the things that I greatly admire about the Student Veteran Center is that it brings that culture of support to people that pretty much have had a lot of, being in the military, it's like, you know where you got to be tomorrow, right? And now you're tossed out in the civilian world and it's just like, where am I supposed to be tomorrow?
Exactly. And it's scary. If you've had that for so long and then all of a sudden you have a change, it's uncomfortable, but there's no growth in comfort.
Yeah. So what do you think, besides changing your major, you haven't looked much beyond that at this point? You're hanging out with your son because he's 15?
He's 15.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. My grandson's 13. But he's a joy. We love being around him and stuff like that. But yeah, he plays a lot of basketball. What's your son do?
My son reads. He's a scholar. He's in the church.
Okay.
He's very spiritual.
Okay.
He wants to be involved in the church as a career. He'd like to attend the Master's University down in Southern California. And that's his plan right now at 15. And we know how plans go.
Yeah, I know.
And I was 15. I wanted to be a high school math teacher.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. If he wants to speak to a pastor, I have a brother-in-law who's a pastor over in Vallejo.
Okay.
And he was the person that married my current wife and I, and he also married my daughter and her husband. And he's also an amazing singer. So we love Syria very, very much. Okay. And he's a wonderful man. But yeah, he could, if he wanted to, if he wants to talk to somebody, he could talk to him about it. I think he went to school. He went to seminary school in Oakland.
Okay.
So, but he did take a class here at DVC. So he's a DVC alum.
Nice.
And did most of his classes over across college. But so, as we wrap this up, so what would you tell your younger self? You know, if you had to go back 20 years and say, you know, hey, TJ or Thomas, I don't know if you were TJ when you were a kid.
I was. Yep.
Oh, okay. So, hey, TJ, what would you tell yourself 25 years ago?
Learn how to breathe.
Oh,
Yeah. Because in the midst of stressful situation, what's the first thing that we do? We stop breathing, right? We don't breathe deep, which deprives our brain of oxygen. Then we start to panic, and we don't become situationally aware.
Oh.
So if I were to go back then, I'd look myself in the eye and say, learn how to breathe properly. Breathe deep, especially when you're stressed, breathe deep and be patient. You have two ears and one mouth for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, you should be listening twice as much as you speak.
I've had to learn to exhale.
You hold your breath.
I'll hold my breath, but it's the thing I found out as I was reading something and I came across it. And one of the struggles is we tend to breathe shallow. Mm-hmm. And we should actually exhale twice as long as we inhale. Mm-hmm. And so I have to sometimes when I get stressed, it's like, okay, and then count while I'm doing it, because then it's like, I even do that when I'm cycling, because sometimes I forget, you know, I mean, climbing up a hill and I'll get it all in my head and stuff, but I think that's great advice. So we'll see. We'll have to have you back as you make your transition to your new career, you know, career path, because it could change 2, 3, 4 more times, and that's okay.
Yes, sir.
That's okay. Cool. Well, thank you very much for taking the time. I appeate it.
Thank you for having me. This was a lot
absolutely.
of fun.
And we'll have to find some stories that you can tell.
If I would have prepared a little bit more, I probably could have come in here with...
No, it's just, I kind of like doing it all off the cuff anyways, because I think it's more genuine. So it's
yes, sir.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Tuning in to DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next. The podcast for the DVC Alumni Association. You can contact us at alumni@dvc.edu with any comments, and be sure to leave a like